Recently, I had written some posts on my blog about Twitter and how I've been using it as a great learning tool, as a professional learning tool, professional learning network, and professional development. It was actually one of the topics recently on one of the chat things that I'll kind of get to later. So I wanted to share just real quick, hopefully real quick, how to get on, get set up, and kind of how I use it. I'm no means an expert, but I just kind of wanted to share my experiences here. The natural place to start is to go to twitter.com. You can click up sign up. It's free. Fill in your information, pretty basic, your name, password, email, all that kind of stuff. And once you do so, you'll log in. Don't mind the things coming up the top. This is mine logged in. There are no timeline items right here. I just kind of have it blank. But when you log in, you'll have a timeline of things that are being posted. You'll have mentions and tweets and all things like that. The only thing I ever actually use here is you can find people and search by usernames or people's names, and you can follow them. And when you're following somebody, it just means you can see what they are posting, kind of like a friend on Facebook. If they're posting something, you can see what they're writing. And if they're following you, they can see what you're writing. But just because you follow somebody doesn't mean they're seeing what you're posting unless they're in fact following you. So then the next thing that I would do is I would go to the website TweetDeck, and that is something that is a really good tool to use. It's a free download software. Go to TweetDeck, click Get It Now, go through the procedure to download if you have an Apple or Mac or a PC. And once you do so, I will open up my TweetDeck program, which can look a little bit overwhelming to start with because I have a lot of things going on. TweetDeck, you can sync your Facebook, Twitter, multiple accounts, things like that, but I'll keep my explanation pretty basic here. You have different columns. This column is friends, so these are people that I'm following. Anything they're posting shows up in this column. I have a column over here that is mentioned, so anytime anybody says my name or uses my username, which is Stump Teacher, I see their post shows up there. And then you can create different search columns here that can be specific and kind of filtered. And the best way I can use to explain this is if you imagine you were in the, in a soldier field, to use the example up here in Chicago, and it's full to capacity, and you want to have a conversation or know who's talking or what they're saying about a particular topic. Let's just say who's talking about math. If anybody in the room is talking about math, they could hold up a blue flag, and you could look around the room and see everybody that has a blue flag and know exactly what and who are talking. That's kind of how this works. These hashtags, you can create different hashtags, and you can use a little plus sign and see there's a math chat, there's a standards-based grading, there's science, there's special education, all sorts. So you can add columns and it'll filter. So anybody that writes and wants their post to show up in that column, they just put that hashtag. You see right here the EdChat hashtag. EdChat. These aren't necessarily people that I'm following, but if they put that hashtag, I've got to search and I can see it and see what's being posted. This is a good place to see people that you're going to see kind of people coming up a lot in there, and that might be somebody you want to to follow. In order to do that, you could just click on their name, which shows up right here, and it will bring up a little bio on them, and you can click follow if you want to follow them and get their tweets sent to your friends column here. But there's great information here. So the natural next question is, how do I find out about these hashtags and which ones are out there and which ones should I follow? And the website that I use is Cybrary, which is one of the guys that I actually follow on Twitter. And his website, which is on my blog, has all the different hashtags and when they have chats. So the one that I am very big fan of is the EdChat chat, and that is, if I can find it here real quick, right here. Here it is, EdChat. So it'll tell you when their chats are. So at noon and 7 on Tuesdays is actually the day of the week that they do that. And so for an hour at that time, there's a topic, and everybody's posting about that topic, and it's amazing what you can learn and even contribute to that conversation. So then the next thing is, a lot of people ask, well, who do I follow? How do I know? Well, at my blog, I recently wrote an entry about Twitter 101, and the steps kind of very similar to the ones that I'm going over with you now. And on that blog, I do have a handful of people that I have suggested as kind of good starters. And this is by no means a complete list. These are just a few people that I have followed early on and find to be great resources and good people. And a lot of times if you see who they're following, those are oftentimes really good people to add to your list as well. And I also have here's the link to that prior website with all the different hashtag conversations that are going on. And then the last thing I would tell you is in terms of kind of a progressive or evolution of using Twitter, the first thing I would do is just read. Just read what's being posted. Just create these hashtag columns in TweetDeck and see what people are talking about out there. See what they're saying about these topics that you might be interested in, and just read and consume. And then the next thing I would say is share. And that can be done in a couple of ways. You can write your own post, or just simply, if I see a post that I say, you know what, this is a really good idea, I want to share it, I can just hit retweet it. And that just means it's going to send it right back out, but have my name and the original author's name on it. So if people are following me, they would see that information as well, regardless if they follow the original person. So it's just a way of sharing and constantly sending that information around. And then the final kind of step I would say is create. Start creating your own comments. Start a blog. Post from your blog. Share your ideas and your experiences, because that's really what Twitter is all about, is sharing what you know and learning from other people. And it really knocks down barriers that before would have been there. I would not have been able to have a conversation with somebody, across the state, across the country, or on the other side of the world, which in the past 3 months I've been able to do. And I cannot say, speak highly enough about it. That it really has been a very strong professional development tool, and it is something I would recommend to any teacher out there that is wanting to learn and constantly, make themselves a better teacher.